What's up, chess player? This game is going to be very useful for you if you want to improve your middle game skills as well as endgame technique, because that was a very complicated, very intense game that I have played as white here against a pretty strong opponent, and that was a very important step for me in terms of winning the German chess championship. So let me take a look, let me show it to you. So I have played here b3, just trying to get a way out of my opponent's preparation altogether, and he played here b6, so I thought, well, we might get a completely symmetrical position. I'm still playing as white, so I should have a little bit of an advantage here thanks to an extra tempo. So yeah, it should be fine. Bishop b7, and now I played d4. Maybe not the most flexible move, but still I'm controlling a lot of squares in the center, and yeah, should be fine. My opponent plays c5, bishop d3, bishop e7, and here knight to b to d2. I didn't want my opponent to make this knight e4 move, and of course he could have done it here, but he didn't use his chance, I thought, and so knight to d2. Well, of course I can always still make the castles. I thought I'm not in a hurry in terms of it, and otherwise it's important for me to just eliminate this opportunity, because if you play d5 with the same idea, obviously, then it's a little bit a different story. Then the diagonal is closed. I have this knight e5 f4 plan, a pretty typical one for this position. So yeah, I thought that this position should be fine. Then my opponent plays castles, and now I'm thinking, well, you're not taking on d4, which I thought was his idea, so let me use it. Let me take it on d5. And apparently that wasn't such a great idea. And here playing e4, I thought I'm getting something out of it, because I want to play e5. I want to just make it uncomfortable for you. I want to get the initiative here, but my opponent says, I don't care. You can do whatever you want. If you want to just make all of your pawns moves with a pawn instead of castling, instead of developing the pieces, well, do your worst. So I'm gonna just play knight c6, finishing my development, and that's actually what I'm doing is opposite of what I'm teaching you in my videos. So instead of castling, instead of finishing my development, I'm just playing e4 and e5. And I thought it's very important because I'm getting a lot of space here. After knight d5, this knight is making a lot of moves, so I'm gonna push it again and again. But it turns out that the knight is very active, actually. It goes to f4, and then it creates a lot of problems for me. So I played here g3, but that is a very dangerous move in terms of positional things here. For example, this diagonal is very weak now. This bishop on b7 is a hidden beast now. Now the knights are just jumping out of it, knight b4, knight somewhere, knight d4 maybe, and you know, I might just gonna be destroyed very fast in this game. Luckily, my opponent didn't play that. He played f6, which is still strong, because, well, my king is still on the center. I mean, don't play like that. E4, e5, and g3, three moves with a pawns, and instead of being ahead in terms of the development, now I'm suddenly behind, and also I have some weaknesses. I mean, what am I doing here? I finally recognized my mistakes and I played castles here, but it's already not that convenient. My opponent take it, and now d6 is kind of a threat. I initially wanted to maybe sacrifice a pawn, but now I'm realizing if I just play something like rook e1, for example, d6, everything is protected. I mean, the center is as strong as cement as black, and so I don't have any targets to attack, and then my opponent is just much better. That's not what I want. Also, this knight is coming to d4. Still, this diagonal is horribly weak. So yeah, that is completely nothing. So that means I have to take here. But after takes and bishop f6, I mean, I didn't get anything at all, and I thought it's not that convenient somehow for me here with those bishops. I wanted to play queen to e2, but then knight to b4 is very annoying because I don't want to let my bishop being exchanged, and otherwise I don't have a good square for it. So yeah, I played here just bishop takes f6, and the only thing for me was that maybe taking with a rook or with a queen is not that great, so my opponent will take with a knight. Because, for example, rook takes, I can play c4, I can play knight e4 with some attacks here, so I thought maybe he should take with a knight back. He did that, and then at least this bishop, this knight is a little bit back, so I'm winning a little bit of space, a little bit of time, which is needed for me, of course, to finish my development. I played queen e2, and according to the engine, this position is around equal, but of course this diagonal is a huge concern. I mean, yes, I can claim that my pawn structure is better, I don't have any weaknesses apart from this diagonal, and if I exchange some pieces, the endgame should be better for me. But I mean, the risk of just getting checkmated is so huge, and especially in terms of practical game, you are just sitting there thinking that my opponent has such a simple plan. Just put everything on the diagonal and just try to give a checkmate. And I need to create some weaknesses like playing f3 to try to stop it. I mean, that's not such an ideal situation you want to find yourself after the opening, especially if you're playing as white. But okay, I have got what I have got, so I have to continue. I have played rook to e1, saying that, well, if you're ever gonna play d5, then at least your e6 pawn is gonna be a weakness. And look that I'm trying to bring all of my pieces here together, trying to, I don't know, hope that they can create some synergy and help me survive here. So queen to c6, and yeah, that is immediately creating a checkmate threat. Although I don't really think that doing it so early is a great thing for black, because now after knight c4, I have this idea of knight a5, and yeah, that is basically a tempo move. A move with a tempo means that you're making your move, creating a threat, and your opponent cannot just ignore it, he needs to do something about it. That means that you're winning a tempo. And my opponent, what he did is very weird. I mean, I could never understand such a move. This bishop, to my eyes, is the best piece that black has. I mean, just literally the beast there, and you can never exchange it. And what my opponent is doing, he's playing bishop to a6. I mean, the only purpose of this move is to exchange the bishop against something. And I'm just completely lost. Like, why would you do that? Of course, I don't want to allow knight a5, so I would play bishop a8 here and just trying to put more pressure in the center. I don't know, trying to go forward with all of my pawns, somehow weaken this entire diagonal and just crush my opponent. But bishop a6, I mean, that was such a huge surprise for me here. I'm not saying it's a bad move. Yeah, I'm saying it's a bad move. Okay. I mean, how can you do that? Never exchange your best pieces. Always try to keep it on the board and use it instead of just letting it be exchanged. I played here knight d6. That is a nice little trick. I mean, the normal knight e5 seems to do the job, but I thought it's so important for me to stop the d5, because otherwise, yeah, the pawns are pretty strong there. But if I play knight d6, I thought that it's pretty smart here, and yeah, the knight is very active. And now my opponent has to decide whether he wants to exchange the bishops and let me have this monster on d6, or he wants to take the knight, and that is what he did, and then I have a bishop against the knight. And I thought, yeah, maybe short storm, he has some initiative because he's playing here queen to b6. That is creating a c4 threat, winning the bishop, and also d5 is gonna be played. But long term, I thought that bishop should be stronger than the knight on both sides of the board when the position is opened, when the pawn structure is imbalanced. So I thought that should be helpful for me if I want to play for win, which of course was my goal. So I played here king to g2, just stopping the whole idea, and now d5. Of course, no question about that, the center is very strong, and I thought it's incredibly important for me to stop the e5 pawn. If you get the move e5 on the board, that means that, yeah, black is in total control of the position. So how to do that? I want to play f4. But the problem is, I just cannot do it. I literally cannot do it because I lose my bishop immediately here, c4. And this bishop is in prison. I mean, it's completely locked here. You cannot do anything with it. Yeah, I should just resign here. So I have found a smart way to make f4 possible. I played bishop to b5 first with a tempo. Your rook is under attack. And after rook e7, I just played f4. And now I'm really stopping it. c4, for a second I thought that might be dangerous because my bishop is still weird, but I still have time for bishop a4, bishop b3, and then everything is fine. So I'm not losing here, and everything else is good. Rook to c8 happened, bishop d3, c4, takes, and bishop e4. I mean, of course, bishop f5 is possible, but I wasn't sure what the bishop is doing here. I mean, you defend the pawn somehow, and like, what is the point of it? I thought that I can play bishop e4. I'm controlling the long diagonal. If you want, you can take it, but I thought that you have just more weaknesses than I have. So that should be also fine. My opponent played queen to d4 instead, and then bishop f3. I thought, okay, now my bishop is dominating your knight. The bishop should be stronger than the knight once again, so everything should be in white's favor now, and all of those weaknesses again. So I was confident in my power again. I played queen to e5 because I thought, well, this queen is just very strong here. Let's just exchange it. And that should be your strategy, by the way, to decide which pieces to exchange and which pieces to leave on the board. You need to find the most active pieces that your opponent has, and that would be the pieces you should exchange. And you should find the less active pieces that you have, and if you can't activate it, find a way to exchange it. So that is what I did. Queen to e5 takes, and now everything is perfect. Now it's a question whether I can convert my advantage, because yeah, definitely it's not black who has the initiative now. Knight d7, rook to a5, creating yet another threat. Notice that I try to be as active as possible with my every move, trying to create some threats, not allowing my opponent to free himself with a move e5, for example. Rook d8, rook e2, once again stopping my opponent's counterplay, very important in chess. So now king to f7, my opponent tries to consolidate, and that is of course the right thing to do. And I wanted to create once again some pressure here, maybe bishop to g4. So rook c8 happened, rook to d6, rook to c5, bishop to g4, and e5. And even though objectively it's an equal position here, but I thought that from a practical point of view, it's really not that simple, not that comfortable as black to handle all of the threats. What are the threats, you might be asking? Well, now I want to attack the king. I want to just exchange this pawn, play rook f2 check, rook f6, attack the g6 pawn, and that's not funny. I mean, the bishop is going to be there to help bishop e6 at some point. That's literally not funny for black. My opponent played here rook to d5. Of course, that would be great to exchange a pair of rooks for him. So that is why I played rook to c6. Now it takes bishop f5. And all of a sudden, remember I told you that this position is equal. Well, this one is almost completely winning for white. You might ask, what has changed? Well, now I have this active rook, I have this active bishop, I have a potential for the second rook to be active, and I have a very interesting plan that I want you to find here, because after king to g7, it's move 40, so we both got 30 minutes increment, and that was exactly the right thing for me, because I have spent it wisely and I have found the winning plan here. The position is completely winning for white here. Feel free to pause the video for a second and find it. Okay, I hope you have found it, because that is the move h4. All you need to do is to bring the pawn to h6, and then it's just gonna be too difficult for black to handle all of the threats. Black can of course win this pawn on e2, there is no question about that, but once your rook is there on e2, it's completely offside. It's just literally not taking part in the game, and it's like I have an extra rook, an extra man there on the football pitch, if you want. So I'm just destroying my opponent here. h5, rook to f7, rook to f2. That's very important, I thought, during the game, because I want to play h6. So that is what happens, so we can just make this move. Knight d5, the same, rook takes a2, doesn't make any difference. h6. Now, if you want to go to g8, well, there are some bad news for you. Check, check, and checkmate. If you want to go to h8, well, that's going to be an immediate checkmate. So the only way to go is king to f8. But what can I do now? Now this rook is pinned, so it's not protecting the pawn on h7 anymore. I can take it, and that is exactly what happened in the game. Knight e3 is just one check. Nobody has ever died from one check, so don't be afraid of that. Into g1. Now I'm still protecting my rook, and there is no way to stop this pawn. All I want to do is just bring the bishop back, play h7, check, and promote my queen. So my opponent decided that the only chance is to sacrifice the knight for it, and that is what happened. But this position is relatively simple to convert, because I still have two pawns. Remember, you don't want to allow your opponent to exchange all of the pawns, because that's going to be a theoretical draw, rook and bishop against the rook. It's still possible to play it for a little bit, but an experienced player knows that it's not possible to win. And so I really needed to defend it, but yeah, it's not that difficult. The bishop on e4 controls everything, and now I just started to pick up all of the pawns here. Rook a7, rook takes, rook takes on g3. I decided I can sacrifice this one because I'm taking all of those pawns, and then it's gonna be very simple for me to convert here. So my opponent finally resigned here. Let me know in the comments what you think about this middle game and endgame tricks that I have shown you, whether you have found it useful. If you did, hit the like button, because it helps tremendously in terms of supporting this channel. And in this video, I'm showing you the toughest games that I have had in this entire tournament, where I have to play against the London systems, opponent that I really hate, and I'm showing you how I handled the whole pressure.